Call the meeting to order at 4:01.
Commissioner Carey,
Here.
Commissioner Patterson,
Here.
Commissioner Molina,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez, and Commissioner Lee is not here at this time.
We got approval of the minutes from June 13th, 2003. 23.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We have a public comment period. We actually have a right now we'd like to call Miss. Right now we'd like to call Miss Cynthia Lara.
As part of my comment, I have a little survey that we did with the residents of Buena Vista Park. Would you be interested in having a copy? I made 10 copies, so sorry if it's not enough, but. So my name is Cynthia Lara, and I'm a member of the Buena Vista Beautifiers, and I'm here with our charter member, Ken Wolf, who does a lot of work in our community. And we came for two reasons. The first is to thank, we wanted to make sure and thank everyone, Rec and Parks personnel that supported us, has supported us this past year, and also holding our second annual Family Day in the Park. Thanks to Dennis, Casey, Gabriel, Jasmine, Carly, the Rangers, and so many more people for providing equipment and the van on the go. And we were able to offer on a Sunday, May 21st, fun and free activities for family and kids, and we got a lot of positive comments. We had some of the groups that participated included FFA from Santa Maria High School, Adams School Garden Club, Friends of Santa Maria Library, also the mobile library, Astor Club of Rigetti High School, and Fighting Back Santa Maria, and there were just lots of fun, free games and activities for the kids, snacks and things. And we did get a lot of positive comments from the community. And since we happened to be the same day as the Dia del Campesino, we had a lot of competition. But it worked out just fine. We had a good turnout. Part of what we did that day was we had a little survey and asked for open-ended questions of the community members, which you see in front of you. I think the majority people, I think, did live in the Buena Vista Park neighborhood, although I think maybe not in close proximity, but you know, they might have had to walk a ways, but the majority did live in the proximity of the park. There were a lot of positive comments, and I think I really wanted to share that with you about the play and rec structures. 80% of the people independently talked about how happy they were with those. The trees were also it was a big plus for them. And along with, some people just said everything, a few people. Then going down to, is there anything you don't like about the park? 40% said nothing, so I felt that was kind of a positive as well. There were some comments about the bathrooms, but they might have been people who haven't been there recently, and we told them about the park's commitment to keep the bathrooms open and clean, and they've been open every day that I've been there recently. They did have some concerns about smoking in the park. We support a little free library in the park as well, and I can see that because we do, on our week to deliver books, pick up trash as well, and we do find quite a few cigarette butts. The last was, if you could add anything to the park, what would it be? And it's good to know what your constituents really would like, and I know that it's difficult, but tables and grills were still at the top of the list. More seating was also in the top third, and that would be nice to have, I think, more places for people to sit down, if possible, and more trees. So We talked at our meeting and wondered if there would be some way where there could be maybe one day a month or every 2 months where a barbecue could, some grills, portable grills could be provided, or you could sign up, and maybe some portable tables that can be taken down at the end of the day. That was one idea that we came up with. I know that involves personnel and time and effort, but that's what the constituents that use Buena Vista Park, and there's a lot of them, would like. So that's just a possibility we wanted to bring up. But mostly overall, we just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and we hope to go on supporting the park for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we got new business, Mr. Alex Posadas.
Thank you, Commissioner Molina, and Commissioners, good evening. I want to thank Cynthia for her comments. It's great to know. We'll talk about barbecues. We'll talk about ways to try to provide that family gathering spots over at Buena Vista. We did leave purposely several areas that were not developed so that we could have space for adding things, as we heard from the community. So thanks for that. Thanks for doing the survey. The next thing I'm really happy to bring up to you is the recognition of Mr. Paul Lesage. Paul was nominated by our department and in conjunction with Hancock College for an award with the National Recreation Park Association for his efforts in bringing the future recreation and park professionals forward through his classes at Hancock College. For those of you that don't know, Paul's history around here has been pretty amazing. Paul was recreation superintendent when I came to work here. He has been the director for the city of San Luis Obispo. He has taken on the role of creating a very meaningful recreation training program through the college. So we've been the benefactors of that, and a lot of the staff that are here tonight from our staff were students of Mr. Lesage at Hancock College, my daughter being one of them. And it's just fitting to recognize him for that effort. He's kind of supplying us for our future leadership in the department by the courses that he offers. And I'll have to also give him credit and kudos for being my mentor really when I started here, giving me that opportunity to start working with the city way back when. But it's been a great relationship with us in the college, and athletic director Kim Insing is here tonight also. She heads up that program at the college, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. So we do have a resolution for Mr. Lesage. And Commissioner Lopez, correct?
Okay, a resolution of the Recreation and Park Commission of the City of Santa Maria, California, recognizing Paul Lesage for his service to the recreation and parks profession. Whereas Paul Lesage was nominated for the National and Recreation Park Society's Distinguished Professional Award by his professional peers for his many years of service to educating the next generation of leisure professionals through his instruction at Allen Hancock College's recreation curriculum. And whereas Paul Lesage served as the city's recreation superintendent and as an advocate youth sports, as well as during his tenure with the cities working diligently to improve recreation opportunities in the Santa Maria Valley. And whereas Paul Lesage served as a director of City of San Luis Obispo Parks and Recreation Department, cultivating and developing staff members to excel in the profession. And whereas Paul Lesage is credited with the development of Allen Hancock College's recreation management curriculum, a program thriving as the college offers a full complement of recreation, tourism, sports management, and event planning coursework that can be used to earn certificates and associate degrees. And whereas many of the past and current staff members at the City of Santa Maria Recreation and Parks Department have completed courses instructed by Paul Lesage. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved by the City of Santa Maria Recreation and Parks Commission that Paul Lesage is recognized for his many years of dedication to developing our aspiring leisure service professionals through his instruction, mentorship, and leadership. Passed and adopted at a regular meeting of the City of Santa Maria Recreation and Parks Commission held this 11th day of July 2023.
You want to bring it down?
Yes, I can bring it.
Thank you, Paul. We have to do a photo op too, so with Commissioner Lopez, if you wouldn't mind. And then Paul, we're going to give you the microphone at the podium. That could be a mistake, but.
Thank you so much. That was incredibly nice. I understand I need to thank Barbara Wiley as the impetus behind this, and thank you so much. If I could introduce my two family members that are here, my son Matt and my grandson Tyler. Tyler is actually fourth generation public service. Both my wife Sharon and myself's fathers worked for the city of Los Angeles, and then me, and then Matt is a recently retired, which sounds kind of strange, City of Santa Maria fire captain. And Tyler is a city planner. Also in Matt's family, we have a librarian, a teacher, and Tyler's sister Casey, who is a social worker for San Luis Obispo County. So I guess that's our family profession. I want to thank those of you, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, of the former and current students that are here. The relationship with Santa Maria Recreation and Parks has been great from the first day that we started the program. And hopefully, maybe someday in that chair right over there, there'll be somebody that was a graduate of our program. If I could make a couple of comments about Santa Maria Recreation and Parks, since I have the microphone. The thing that attracted me to come to Santa Maria 40 some odd years ago was the fact that there was a commitment from the city to Parks and Recreation. The Manami Center was a set of rolled up plans in Mike Miramani's office. And that started pretty much right about when I got here. And, you know, the senior center, the Hagerman Fields, as I went out the door, the last project was the Edwards Gym. And it really hasn't wavered. So there's always been a commitment to Parks and Recreation in this community through tough budget times. You know, I always say, what does the city of Santa Maria have in common with the city of Yarupa Hills Recreation and Parks Department? The answer is nothing. When like the 2001 fiscal crisis hit, they closed down their Parks and Recreation. So you've never seen anything like that in Santa Maria. So you should pat yourselves on the back, and you know, when you see your city council members, remind them of that. I have one suggestion. When it's time to name a park, I would like you to look at finding a way to honor the men and women who have maintained your parks for all these years, really without much recognition. Their service is just expected, and oftentimes the only, they hear about something is that when the bathrooms are dirty or something like that. So I think if a few of us sat down, we could probably go through some files and come up with some names and, an appropriate name for a facility like that. But, Joe Borges, Pete Robles, Eddie Garcia, Jerry Watson, and on and on. There's just so many people that have just, Eddie started as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old. Now he's retired and he's working, maintaining the fields at Hancock. So, I mean, anyway, just think about that. And last, I want to thank my boss, Kim Insing, who is the Associate Dean and Athletic Director of our department. There's changes coming, and they're for the good. We're in the process, hopefully, of hiring the first full-time instructor. It won't be me, and that's by my choice. I'm gonna, I'll be around, but it's time for new enthusiasm and new blood and people that know how to use their phone to do apps like where you can, in class and things like that, whatever it takes to do those kind of things. So when they come in, one of our first stops will be with the department and introduce whoever this person ends up being, and just continuing the relationship. So thank you very much, and if you'll excuse me, this is my 318th Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, and so I put in my time. Okay, so I'll leave you to your deliberations. Okay.
Thank you,
so
Paul.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Lesage. Moving on, we have leisure needs assessments.
Thank you, Commissioners. So we're getting ready for the leisure needs assessment tool out there. Dennis is working on an RFP with Angela to come up with kind of how we're going to put it out there and try to get a consultant that will meet our needs, I guess, similar to what Cynthia was talking about when she talked about doing a survey. We want to be able to survey the community on a larger scale. We want to be able to outreach to the segments of the community that we typically don't get to. We want to engage at various levels with our peer agencies, the school districts, and the nonprofit organizations in the community to kind of get a feel for what they think the community needs to have as far as leisure services go over the next, 5 to 10 years. One of the challenges that we have, of course, is growth. Santa Maria is expected to add another 1,900 residences in the new general plan that's out there. So if you take each of those residents and figure there's 3.4, 3.5 people per residence, it's a lot of people come into town in the next 20 years. So it's important that we kind of start looking at how we're going to accommodate that growth. That's part of the leisure needs assessment. Closer to our timeline now is just to get an idea, a snapshot in time of where we are in our service levels, where our gaps are, where we need to fill them in with programs and services. So that's the mission of the leisure needs assessment. It'll answer a lot of questions that we've had, over the last couple of years from commissioners. Is where are we going? What's our plan? That's what the leisure needs assessment is. It is the assessment, and then accompanying that will be the action plan. How are we going to move forward? What are our priorities? We take elements from that leisure needs assessment to look at how our budget's going to look like in the next few years. What's our personnel contingent going to need to look like? All those things are part of what leisure needs assessment helps us do. So that's the update on the assessment. We're hoping, do we have a rough timeline, maybe getting it out?
We're looking to have it finalized in the next 2 to 3 weeks and ready for distribution, including leisure needs. We're also adding a public art component in there as well. So help to define some of our public art processes and program altogether.
That's the update on that. I just wanted to give that to you so you know we're working on it. The other part of that is the commissioner's role. So typically what we'll do is we'll have a couple of special meetings in the evenings out in the community, similar to what we did last year. But they'll be more focused to have the discussions that are focused on a particular topic or an issue, and we'll do that. I think that's where we first met Commissioner Lopez, was at one of our meetings that we had at Manami Center, I think it was. So there's an opportunity to gain knowledge from the community, but also to provide them knowledge about what the commission does, what our roles are in the city. And I think that's an important aspect that we don't pay a lot of attention to when we're out there. So we're using you as in those meetings. That's it.
Moving on to Public Arts update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just a brief update on some public art projects that are moving forward. We do have a very large mural that is set to be installed on the old library building facing Broadway. That's going to be installed prior to some renovations that we're doing there, to include some interpretive garden, nature garden areas, and it's quite a big project to remove some of that turf. But the mural is set to go up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so look for that. We also extended our deadline for the utility box art program. We got a couple of calls saying that the deadline was too quick, and we do have some time and flexibility with that. So we did push it out through August. So we'll be extending that for 5 weeks. So if you haven't seen that application, it is available online. Please distribute it. We're looking to paint 15 utility boxes, which is quite an undergoing. It's 3 times our normal size of a project at one time. So it will be fun to wrangle, but also we're looking for some great art for Broadway Street from all the way down at Presker Lane to, where are we going to? The McDonald's is the only thing that comes to my mind. Past Fessler, keep going. The second McDonald's on Broadway, that's the intersection. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. And then we have quite a few more projects coming in, and we do have an RFQ out looking for qualifications for artists who have skills in sculpture and other mediums other than just 2D murals for the not only the Battles Road project, but we have some grant opportunities coming up that we may be able to have some additional artwork. So that RFQ is the request for qualifications, is just looking at an artist resume to see if they would be qualified for future projects. Then we're creating a list, and we'll have that available when these projects come up. So again, that request for qualifications is available on the city website for anyone to pull and fill out. It's a really quick and easy application. And the new sign/mural at Elks Field is 90% complete. So if you have not had the opportunity to drive by yet, drive through the parking lot at the Abel Maldonado Community Youth Center. It's a great piece. We have the plaque has been refurbished and will be hung in the next couple weeks. And we'll be listing some notable players as well on the bottom of that. In addition to that piece, we will have information on the city website giving the history of Elks Field much more in detail than anything we can put on a wall. So that will be coming up as soon as we get that painting and all finished with the plaque. Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions for Mr. Smitherman? Commissioner Carey?
No.
Commissioner Bass?
No.
Commissioner Lopez? No. Commissioner Lee? Thank you, Mr. Smitherman. I'd just like to say that Elks Field was beautiful. Thank you for painting the facial board on there. And third base dugout will be re-roofed after everybody's done with it. So you can put another mural on the first base dugout. Moving on to old business, director and management staff.
We're going to go ahead and go on to item A and have Mr. Smita go ahead and give his finance report.
Good evening, Commissioners. So we're at the end of our fiscal year, ended June 30th. We managed to stay under budget and leaving quite a large amount of money on the table. What you see in front of you is it's a snapshot in time. There's still a lot of invoices that have not been charged yet to the end of the fiscal year, and so we did not leave 1.6 million on the table, maybe half of that. But we had some plans to spend what we could in the month of June, and we were asked by the finance department to put a hold on some of our spending to help balance the overall city budget. Anyway, so come this meeting in August, I'll be able to brief the commission on what our budget looks like for this next fiscal year. It's mostly going to be the same because we are in year 2 of the 2-year budget. Anyone have any questions on budget? Commissioner Lee?
Just a clarification, are you able to carry the surplus into the next fiscal year?
Typically, no. General fund, we're not able to carry over to,
So it goes
Next
into the
fiscal year.
general pot?
yeah, it goes back into the pot and helps balance the budget for the fiscal year.
Is there any way to earmark certain needs that has to be done, and therefore, even though it's a new fiscal year, you know that we had the money?
Yeah, I would say no. We're able to carry money over for our larger capital projects. That's money that can go on continuously until the projects are finished. But when it comes to projects assigned to our general fund, we typically cannot carry it over. And if we've earmarked it, at least in my experience this fiscal year, they have not said, yes, you can carry it over.
Yeah, it doesn't give you any incentive to be conscientious.
Right, yeah. Which is why we had some ideas for how to spend the rest of the money in June before.
Right.
Where it was, those ideas were frozen. We'll do a bit better next year, I think. Maybe getting a little closer to the bottom line.
Has that ever been-
April or May.
Has that ever been brought up to the city council?
I haven't brought it up to the city council. I don't know.
So the council does see the end-year results of the budget. So when they consider the budget for the following year, that's something that they see. And the problem is that for the last few years, the city's been working on an overall deficit budget. So they're having to borrow money from their reserves to balance each of the operational budgets. What this does, when we have a savings in the general fund, it basically reduces the amount of money they have to take out of the reserves to balance the budget. So that's why we don't have any carryover when it comes to the general fund. Next year, which is now, I guess we're in the middle of it now, because we're on a 2-year budget, we've just started the second year, our allocation remains pretty much the same as it did the first year, with some minor items, maybe some additional capital projects that we've, that were added. But for the most part, operational budgets remain pretty much intact. So you're not losing any money the new year, but you're really not gaining any money in the new year either.
Is there any incentives, aside from just a pat on the back, to those who were conscientious and had money left over?
I don't know that we even get pats on the back, do we?
I didn't get one this year. Even with that 1.5 that we left on the table.
Anything on staffing?
Yeah. So we've mostly, in the last 2 months, been focused on our hiring for the summer programs, recreation mostly. I think we've done really well in being able to be somewhat attractive as an employer for the summer. What happens is a lot of the college students who come home for the summer will sign up to be a lifeguard or a rec leader, and so we may have them for 2 months or so, and I think we've done quite well. With the pool being closed, there hasn't been a huge need for filling or overfilling lifeguard positions, so there hasn't been a big push for that. But in terms of, you'll see on your list here under status, we do have some positions that we're holding open in the hopes that we can do some reorganization, maybe do some reclassification of some positions that just that no longer make sense with the current work that they're doing. Perhaps by this time next month, when we meet again, we'll have an update. Yeah, so we are holding quite a few permanent vacancies in the hopes that we can make some positive changes to our staffing makeup.
I would encourage the department to create a list of the items that are absolutely of concern. And in other words, we could have spent the money, but we were being conscientious for the entire city. However, these are the needs that the department really does have. And that way it's on record. Because I know just listening to all of you, listening to my colleagues around the table here, there are a lot of needs. And, you know, I was in your position to where I did a great job, I saved money, and it's gone. So there's got to be some incentive for people who are conscientious and have money left on the table versus those who constantly go in the red every year. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions, commissioners, related to staffing or budget, finance?
Dennis Smitherman, Recreation Division report.
Thank you, Commissioner Molina. Today, I'd like to start by bringing up one of our program specialists, Carly Warfuel. Carly oversees our SMORE program and the day-to-day activities and programs. She's out there programming with the intent to change the lives of not only young people, but families in our community. So far, she's done an amazing job with hundreds and hundreds of participants. And I asked her to come today because one of the things we see a lot of the times, or hear a lot of the times, is what we're missing. And so Carly had a really amazing experience at camp, taking kids to summer camp at Camp Ocean Pines, but also picking them up. So I had asked Carly to come up and say a few words about that experience.
Hello, like Dennis said, my name is Carly Warfuel. I am a program specialist with the department, and I primarily run our SMORE program, which is the Santa Maria Outdoor Recreation Experience. And since launching this program late last year, we have served over 500 community members through our education sessions, trips, and various campouts, like Dennis mentioned. But the most impactful has been our collaboration with Camp Ocean Pines in Cambria. During the fall, we had a Friday through Sunday family camp where we took 92 Santa Maria residents, and everyone who attended that camp was so appreciative and had a variety of new experiences like tide pooling, archery, and even axe throwing. I spent time with each of the families there during the weekend, and even doing things like just tie-dyeing shirts with one particular group. Even the adults were having so much fun and expressed that they'd never even had the chance to tie-dye shirts before. But one of my biggest takeaways from the family camp was when one elementary age boy asked me about the camp schedule, and I said something like, the next thing that we're doing is going to lunch. And his response was, wow, we get to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that is when I knew that we couldn't have selected a more deserving group of residents for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. And previously, this past month, we sent about 30 kids to a 6-day sleepaway camp, also at Camp Ocean Pines in Cambria. And I had the opportunity to drop them off and pick up the last group that we sent. The excitement that they had was unmatched. Little nervousness to be expected, but excitement nonetheless. But when I picked them up, all of the kids ran up to me and gave me the biggest hugs and couldn't wait to tell me about everything that they did that week. There was a farewell barbecue, and as we were packing up to leave, there was not a dry eye in sight. We had boys and girls from ages 7 through 15, and they all cried on the way home that they had to leave camp and leave all of their new friends, saying that they all had the best week of their life. We will be taking kids to 2 more camp sessions this summer, and we will have 1 more family camp in the fall. And I just wanted to say that I'm so excited to be a part of this program that creates memories that the Santa Maria residents that will remember for a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. We have some other program specialists in the room too for our adult and youth sports that we'll be bringing back in the future to talk about their programs as well. But really quick one to give you an update on the swimming pool. The pool is under construction, hopefully for the final time. For a while, they started installing the new heaters in the 50-meter pool. We are limping along currently with one heater to keep the swim club going for this past week. They are out for a week to two, and then we should have the pool open. There is a tournament this weekend, possibly, if we can get one of the heaters replaced and get it up to temperature, they'll still be having their meet, not tournament, sorry, their swim meet this weekend. So fingers crossed. The small recreation pool did open on July 4th. It is got a new heater in it and is working well. So we did open it for our festivities on the 4th with a soft opening. Still had quite a few people in there. They were averaging 40 people per hour in the pool throughout the course of the event. So that is good news. We are open for rec swim just about every day now. So a couple hours in the afternoon, families and youth can come and do rec swim there as well. So that's our afternoon swim time, $1.50 for youth, $3 for adults. And other than that, summer programming is full speed ahead. You all have the recreation guide, again, available online, English and Spanish version. So I'm here for questions.
Just have a comment. This is for Carly. When you were speaking, you brought goosebumps to me because the best experience I've ever had was when I went home from college. We took a group of kids from Chinatown, very poor kids, up to Eureka, to a farm. And for the first time, they were able to see how eggs were laid and how, be able to pet a cow or whatever. And to be able to do that, to bring those life experiences to children, you just can't describe it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, being a local, sixth grade camp, everybody kind of went to sixth grade camp, and it was a big thing, And growing up, you look at the board, and you'd had to raise so much money to get to sixth grade camp, and mine was always at zero for that whole time. So I didn't raise no money to get to camp. I didn't have no money. Parents didn't have no money to send nobody to camp. The last week, the principal, other teachers, they raised money for 4 of us, young boys, to go enjoy sixth grade camp. And it was the best experience that we ever had. There was 4 boys from the local neighborhood that couldn't afford to go to camp. So experiences like that with kids that can't afford it and taking them out like that, it's experiences they'll remember for the rest of their lives, and the people that made it happen for them. Because I still remember my principal and the teachers and my parents that worked extra hard to just give me that extra money and buy me a sleeping bag to go to camp. So things that you're doing like that is what makes it better for the kids around here. Thank you very much.
Mr. Stone?
Operations with Casey Stone and Scott Christensen.
Thank you, sir. Just give a few updates on some capital projects. As of yesterday, the sports lighting project, which is going to take place at Adam Basin and Crossroads Basin, the foundation design is underway. Expect the foundation work and the conduit and the poles to start construction in the late August, early September range is the current projection. Once that is complete, they don't expect to have the power on and light flowing until January, but we should have everything up in the early part of the fall is the current course. Phase 1 of the Enos Center. So the contract has been awarded, and that work is expected, I believe, towards the end of this month or early August, so start seeing some movement out there. The Presker Park Trail Project is ready for use, so there were some slight revisions that had to be done near the fire station. Those are done, so there should be a final inspection tomorrow, and then the tape will come down, and it'll be 100% ready for use. We do have some money set aside for some parking lot maintenance, so currently in the process of creating a list. So we probably have more lots that need repair than we have money for, so we're really spending some time right now kind of assessing everything with Public Works and then figuring out how much money we have, can we come up with some additional funds, and then if so, we should see some improvements, maintenance out on many of our parking lots very soon. The other update that I have is the Veterans Memorial Park Phase 1 construction is well underway. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to swing by there, but a lot of work being started there. The other thing that we have going right now is the court resurfacing for the sports courts. So Manami is going to be the center of that, but we're hoping to have additional funding left over so we can go citywide and do as much as we can. So Commissioner Lee, to your point earlier, that's one of those areas where we will see some carryover, I'm told, so that we can hopefully get more accomplished. So we're excited to have that carryover approved so that we can really maximize what we can get done this year. A lot of needs out there. And then last but not least, I think everyone knows that we have a new restroom coming to the Presker Park location near the inclusive playground. The plans are being finalized right now and still on track, I think, Dennis, unless you've heard otherwise, right around Thanksgiving-ish for that new restroom opening, because we definitely have a need out there for additional facility. Moving on to park operations, just some things that we're working on in addition to those projects. So still working with Fleet on the acquisition of the new compost spreading equipment package. It's one thing to get the money, but it's another thing to kind of get together what exactly we need. The very first product that we were looking at was about a 1.5 year wait, and that was just going to be way too long for the city. So in working with Fleet, we've found some different suppliers on the East Coast that might be able to give us what we need. So now it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, what tractor do we need to run this device? How do we get it to and from? And then, of course, we've got the staffing and the lighting components to that. So making progress, and I'm hoping sometime in the fall we'll have something to report there. Also, final revisions to the restroom cleaning contract. So that's going to be starting in the next week to 10 days. Just have a couple of little points to negotiate there. The park restrooms continue to be repainted. You'll see that in your noteworthies, so that we have the standard colors for the graffiti abatement. Also, we're putting in a lot of time right now on our supplemental training for staff through the HSI program. So basically what we've done is we've gone through and we've compiled all these different training videos that'll be beneficial to the staff, and now we're trying to group everybody into different subparts so that those videos pertain to their particular job description. Also putting together a training matrix so we can sort of have almost like a master list showing which different positions complete which training components. So time consuming, but definitely worth it. We're also finalizing the retail tobacco sales enforcement grant operations. So basically it's all built out. We've met with the police department, the city attorney's office. We've met with Santa Barbara County. You're gonna see changes on the website probably in the next week and a half. And then that will lead to our what we call go live date, where the Rangers will start making the contacts with all the retailers in the city, education, outreach, and then of course enforcement to make sure that people are following the rules there. Just a couple of other things. We've got the Grogan Playground project is starting now. So that's obviously the one that was damaged from the storm. It's been closed for a little while. It will remain closed, but we did get an update today from Public Works that FEMA did get an inspection done over there today. So now we're waiting on some quotes to come in for what it's going to cost to replace that flooring material over there. And then once we can get those quotes, we'll hopefully find some money to move that forward. So stay tuned, but it's we're making some progress. Dennis already updated you on the elk signs. I'll take that off my list. And then last but not least, actually two things. So the Pioneer playground, I think we were talking about, it was closed last time, so it's been completed, it's open, it's been inspected. A lot of new things out there at Pioneer Park if you get the chance to go by. And then of course, I think for Commissioner Carey, I think you saw your duck signs out at Jim May Park, but we definitely don't want people feeding the ducks inappropriate things. So those signs are up, and I'm sure we'll have more of those too. So that's all I have unless there are any questions. Yes, sir.
Casey, you mentioned the field lights at Crossroads. I was out at the country club today, and all the carports had solar panels on them, and obviously they're generating electricity. I'm just curious, were there any thought put into regenerating the electricity from solar panels, or whether it be parking lots, structures, or playfields?
You know, I'll have to defer to Alex on that one. I know the schools are moving to that model, and there's been discussion about that, but I was not privy to that conversation with PG&E a year or two ago, so I'll defer to Alex to see if he knows anything about that.
Thanks, Casey. Commissioner Lee, so Public Works is looking at what locations make most sense for doing the similar project with the solar panels over parking lots. So that will happen. There's also a proposal for a solar farm at the old landfill on at Sway and Donovan. That one's a little more iffy simply because it's a landfill, so there's some regulatory issues there. But for the most part, Public Works is looking at where the best locations would be for these parking lot cover things that they've done. So it's happening, yes.
So they're not really looking at specific sites. As an example, if you're going to do Crossroads playfields, they're putting up carports to where they have solar panels to generate the light for those lights.
Correct. They're looking more at the problem at like a Crossroads is that there is no real parking lot. It's really, it's in the basin, so you have that potential for flooding. So they're looking at the best locations to do that. It could happen across the street at Fletcher Park, where we have an at-grade park, but that's yet to be determined.
Or the skate park.
Right.
It's quite a big parking. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
No comments. I just have a little comment regarding the new pathway at Presker Park. It's amazing. Part of it looks like it's been there forever, and it should have been there probably, but it's just beautiful addition. It was already a great park, but the pathway is just amazing. How it just blends with everything. It's beautiful. Anyways, I was going to mention that anyway, because I was so excited about it.
Like I said, I seen the artwork at Elks on the dugout. I seen the boys when they were doing it, and it's coming out really nice. The third base dugout is all fixed up now, so we're just waiting to work on that first base dugout, like I said, and then next couple of months we'll put a new roof on there and some facial board, and that way you can put another mural on that back end one.
That sounds good to me. I know that when we talked about that, it was, when people pull up, especially from out of town, there's not necessarily something saying you've arrived at Elks Field, and it's got such a history there. So Dennis was really great about working with local artists and coming up with that concept. And now that I hear that we've got some additional funding for public art this year, we'd love to see more there. And then there was also some discussion about over at Menominee, possibly by the wall by the tennis court. So we have lots of ideas.
Yeah, and Commissioner Lopez and I were at Menominee, 4th of July, just picnicking, and we walked over to the baseball, softball court, and we noticed that the backstop had a 4x4 that was holding it up together. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Yeah, it's been repaired with the 4x4, and it hangs down the backstop. And all the wires from the fencing all around the perimeter is sticking up where the kids are walking off into this thing. So maybe we can get those bundled up and tightened up. So it's kind of a safety issue with the metals coming out of the backstops, and also the first base bench, dugout bench. I thought it was replaced, but they're still missing one bench there. So on that one, my Commissioner.
I do have a question. The City of Santa Maria recently launched the Neighborhood Connect website, app. Does that also include recs and parks? If we do find what we found at the Menominee Park, we can take pictures and upload it?
It does, yes.
Okay.
And so just launched, and so we actually had, that was part of our meeting this morning, is exactly who are those concerns going to and how are those responses being handled. So it is up and running very early, and Scott is sort of our local expert on that if you have any specific questions. But just to answer your question, it will apply, and you'll be able to get everything from graffiti, shopping carts, park concerns, restrooms, all that directed to the city's attention through that app.
Okay. And when we do find, like the park's fence, he described it nicely, but it was pretty bad. How long does it take for it to get repaired or fixed, or at least surrounded by something like a tape or?
Yeah, so typically anytime we find something or receive a complaint that something is poses a safety risk, that's something that'll be handled immediately, even if it's just a cone and caution tape.
Yeah.
Certainly, it'll depend on, what level is needed to either repair or replace, so it could be something we can handle the next day. It may be something that takes a month to get corrected. But if it's anything that has a safety component to it, it'll at least be made safe so that we don't have, that ongoing risk out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Moving on to our Assistant Director's Report. I think this is the first one we've had. Thank you. This is Angela Osland.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you so much. My name is Angela Osland. I've been in the Assistant Director chair for 3 weeks and 2 days, and I've been very fortunate to come into a very welcoming staff and community. A few things that I've been working on, well, a little bit about me. I come from Portland, Oregon, so I was born and raised there, and my background is in civil engineering, so largely I've been doing that. But most recently, I worked for the City of Santa Barbara in Public Works doing fleet and facilities management. Part of that work included supporting parks and recreation and libraries with their facilities and programs. So when the opportunity came about to get to be more personally engaged, kind of hands-on in programming for recreation and parks, I was thrilled to get the opportunity to do that. So I've worked with the U.S. Forest Service, worked with City of Santa Barbara, as I mentioned, was a consultant for a little bit. So getting to bring those skills in and hearing what my leadership team has to say in terms of their skills and abilities has been fantastic, just to get to know them and the great work that they bring and the director brings. So my first month here, kind of a quick synopsis, I've had the opportunity to get to tour all of the parks, to tour Los Flores Ranch, to get to talk to a number of the executive leadership team, get their perspective on Recreation and Parks Department and our division areas. I have also had the opportunity to meet individually with our team here, including Mr. Posada, as well as a number of our supervisors and program areas. There's a lot going on. I know that you are aware of that, and I'm so excited to get to be a part of that. Some of the highlights that I just wanted to mention, most of which you've heard here today, the arts program funding that we have received recently, the work that's happening out in our parks in terms of maintenance, the organizational conversation that we're having about what's coming, how we're going to reach out and broaden our pool of employees to be able to grow our programs, which are forthcoming and happening probably quicker than we are anticipating, but we're wrapping ourselves around that. So it's been great to see the Veterans Project being constructed and in process. I've been able to see the Enos House and have been becoming more and more familiar with all of these projects that are going on. So there's a lot of really great things that I'm super excited to be a part of, and I hope to dive into them more quickly as we get going here. Again, I've been here for 3 weeks, but I'm just thrilled at what's going on in the city. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. Do you have any other questions for me? All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tonight, Director's Report.
Thanks, Commissioner Molina. So what we've been doing is trying to get Angela settled the last few weeks. She's jumped right in, so that's been great. In addition to the internal functions in the department, she's also been working closely with our other city departments and getting to know their operation and how we intermix with one another. So that's been great, and haven't heard anything but good comments from the other department directors and the other department staff that she's made contact with. So we're looking forward for a great relationship and a great service that she's going to provide us. Angela didn't touch on that. She's her other side of her background is organizational management, so that's going to help us with our our upcoming assessment of the department and our structure, and to kind of see, are we have people in the right places? Do we need to move people around? What's the best way to provide the service? As I mentioned, earlier, with the city growing, we want to be, we want to at least have a plan on how we're going to move forward as the city, continues to grow. So that's an important component of Angela's responsibilities. As far as I'm concerned, I think the major issue that we've been working on at the city has been the budget, trying to figure out things, how we can move into the second year of the budget and still remain productive and addressing the concerns that the community has. I mean, there's tons of them out there that, we're trying to do the best we can. Money's always an issue. Commissioner Lee's comments earlier about budget and budget carryover and those kinds of things, those are policy matters, and those are things that the council has to decide upon. Those are things that you as commissioners, really can talk to your council member and let them know the challenges that, we're facing out there. I know some of you have, regular contact with your council members. Other of you, have more intermittent contact. But that's kind of the relationship role. We bring you the issues, the concerns, the challenges, and you're our feedback board. You tell us what you think. You tell us how you think we may be able to do that. We also count on you to be that conduit between us and your council member. When Mr. Lesage was talking, just in the 40 years that I've been here, and the council has been extremely supportive of what we do. Like, when he said that, it just reminded me of that far back, that the councils have always been supportive. It may not be that they were throwing any more money at a project or anything like that, but they were always supportive, always willing to come to our events, always willing to look at youth as a priority. Those are the kinds of things that we need to nurture. And in your role as commissioners, that's an important role that you play, on behalf of not us, but on behalf of the community that we serve. So keep that in mind. We have had opportunities to have joint meetings with the council. We haven't done that in quite a while. That may be something the commission wants to consider, where we invite the council and the commissioners to get together somewhere. We've had joint meetings with the Planning Commission to talk about, now the general plan is moving forward, and the closure on the general plan is supposed to be coming up, in the next year. So in order for us to get our seat at the table, and ours collectively, the department and the commission, it's important that maybe we have that discussion in a joint meeting at some time over the next, several months, so that we're part of that process. I know that commissioners have been going to the meetings. We've also had staff members at the general plan meeting. Angela attended the last one. I believe Scott was at the last one that was had. And there's a lot of elements in that plan that, that it will impact us in the future. Density, downtown density housing, there are no parks downtown, in the immediate vicinity. So we need to address those kinds of things. We need to make sure that when development happens, that those developers are accountable to provide outside activity spaces, or inside activity spaces for that matter. That doesn't happen unless it's advocated for and it's a priority for the city. So that's just my spiel for the day. I think that it's important that we work as a team in approaching the council. And with Angela here now, I'll have a little bit more time to spend on working on that team to work with the council, so we can build those relationships. Thank you.
I just say, for people that do want to get involved, there's actually a downtown committee meeting tomorrow, 1:30 on Pine Street. What is that?
At community development?
Community development.
Yes.
Regarding the Alvin Newton apartment complex, which is going in right there in front of the Bank of America.
Right.
So if anybody's interested, it's tomorrow,
And what time is that?
1:30.
Okay.
If anybody wants information for the meeting, I have it.
Yes. That's it for me, Commissioner Molina. Thank you.
Commissioner Madison?
Oh, questions? No.
No questions.
Commissioner Lee?
Just a couple things. Thank you, Dennis, for coordinating the Play Board meeting that we just had. Just want everyone to know the Play Board is the growth and development division of our department to try to come up with development opportunity gifts. And we're currently looking for prominent citizens who may want to join the board. So as an example, perhaps someone from the Chamber of Commerce, someone from the college, anyone in the community that may be helpful for working with us to come up with large trusts and gifts.
Gifts, yes.
It's amazing how much one can bring if we do it correctly. And so please be thinking about that and refer names to Dennis so that we can move forward. And then the second thing I just want to mention is I had the privilege of being on Lake Kachuma yesterday, or Sunday, on their nature cruise. And just want to remind everyone, take advantage of all of the water opportunities that are out there right now. That nature cruise was amazing, and to see all the life that's grooming because of the water that's available. I mean, it was so amazing to see the baby birds on the parent birds swimming around, and there were eagles, there were deer. It was just amazing. We live in such a beautiful area. Take advantage of it. Thank you.
Commissioner Carey, we're moving on to commissioners' reports.
Oh, okay. Tuesday, July 20th, I got to receive the proclamation from the city for our department, the Parks Make Life Better month, which is the month of July. Thank you, Dennis, for making sure everybody had the recreation pamphlets or books down. Let's see, the 21st Recreation and Parks meeting at Menominee Center, we got to meet Angela. And it was just a really congenial, great morning. Good burritos. Just saying. Let's see. Oh, Wednesday, the 28th, the All Recreation and Parks meeting. That's always my favorite thing. Those are great meetings. They're always it's just uppers. It's just so cool to see all the awards giving out to everybody that works for the department. And the Buena Vista Beautifiers meeting was the same day, which Cynthia is the chair of. Well, she doesn't say she's the chair, but she's the chair. And we're actually planning the Charlie Brown characters. We have these wooden Charlie Browns that somebody made years ago, and they're just very cool. And we put them at Buena Vista Park with lights. So last year, I don't know if it was because it was really dark, maybe because of all the rain, but they didn't show up enough. So I was thinking maybe I could get with Mario and we could figure out a way for them to light, more light or something. I don't know, he'll know what to do. Or maybe we could do solar lights or something. But anyway, so we're going to be working on that, I hope. But we have plenty of time to do it if we get on it now. There's a couple more things. Well, I already said the downtown committee tomorrow, which those are fascinating meetings, and you learn so much about our town at them. Another thing, speaking of Parks Make Life Better Month, for those that follow Trees of Santa Maria, this whole month is every day there's going to be one of our parks. It's mostly the trees in that park, but like yesterday I did Presker. And there's so many beautiful trees, and you can see a few of the trail shots. But in Trees of Santa Maria this month is showcasing our parks, since parks do make life better. I have one more little thing that I'm sure Dennis wouldn't have to do this. Somebody else would probably, because I've heard ramblings. But there's a lot of people that ride bikes on the path along Seaward Drive, the walking path that people walk their dogs. And there's no signs that say no bikes. And I don't know that a sign would be appropriate if maybe we could do it on the sidewalk, no bikes. I had an altercation with a woman just by saying, there's no bikes allowed here. And she told me that there's no signs that said that. So I thought, okay, anyway, just throwing it out there if that was a possibility for somebody other than Dennis. Anyway, that's it for me.
We could make it art.
Perfect. Okay.
Commissioner Carey?
Batterson.
Angela, it was a pleasure meeting you. I'm really looking forward to talking with you more, and I'm happy you're here. And the main thing, I was having problems with my computer and got that fixed, and so surveys and things have been popping up, and some of them I'm not sure how old they are, but I've been going in and answering them. So I did that survey about the downtown area, about, whether building up or out. And I thought that was a really interesting survey, so I hope I got it in on time, but I did it. And that's about it.
Commissioner Lopez?
I do have a few comments. Let's see. Sorry I missed the meet and greet. Breakfast burritos. Hopefully we can have a redo with drinks and appetizers. At times that work perfectly better for me. But pleasure to meet you, and we're so glad you joined the department and looking forward to working with you. I also joined Commissioner Carey to receive the proclamation on June 20th. Got to say a few words. I was the one that showed up a little bit late, but nevertheless made it. Also, I do want to say, if you haven't seen the Neighborhood Connect app or website, it's actually a very nice idea that was launched. Actually, it was recommended and by Councilwoman Hernandez. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's a great app for, you can suggest some like signs. You can immediately put that through for someone to look at one point, or any concern you have with a tree blocking a traffic intersection or a traffic light or a stop sign. You can also report that immediately, and hopefully we'll see some changes. I attended the Star Spangled Jamboree on 4th of July with my boys. That was fun. Thank you, Dennis, for having it, and with your team. And it was nice. Not only, I didn't see a lot of people when I showed up at 2. It would have been nice to see a lot more people because there was activities for all ages, all levels. Maybe it was a lot busier earlier. I don't know, but I didn't know about it. Actually, I had to ask Neville if there was something happening, and he's like, yes, there is. So thank you for that. It was nice. And I want to commend your staff. No one was watching them. I always say that. No one was watching them. They were all on their own, and they were doing a fantastic job with the kids. So I commend them for that. It's always when no one's watching, that how their work ethic is. So maybe we can allocate some of that $8 million leftover to reward them with employee retention training. That always is helpful. They always like to. I'm always an advocate for employee retention, employee training, and how we can keep them working for the Recs and Parks for a very, very long time, and hopefully have them move up the ladder. So you can allocate some of that funds for bonuses, gifts, training, a breakfast, a luncheon, something to reward them with that may not cost as much for the department, but for them, it's such a big deal. So every time I make a recommendation, you have events like the Star Spangled Jamboree. I mean, you may or may not do that already, but have a meeting, a luncheon, some sort of gift card, something to reward them with, so that, they get to go home and say, hey, not only that we got to have fun working this event, we actually got rewarded with something the next day. So something to always think about every time you have an event, so that they look forward to being there, because a lot of them were, it's my 4th of July, but I'm here, that, like, well, thank you for being here, So I'm always your advocate when it comes to your employees, and when I see them working, I always commend them and appreciate them and praise them. So every time you see someone, like Mr. Lesage was saying, next time we name a park, let's choose some of the employees that have been working here for a long time. We can start really helping the department, or any department in the city, by advocating for the employees and commending them every time they do a great job, because they probably always hear, the latter, something that's not good, and so it'll be nice to change that narrative once in a while. So, and I think I'm good. Oh, as far as the play board, that Paul was talking about, as far as donors outreach, maybe if you invite me as a guest next time, I can help you out with that. So it'll be nice to sort of just come in and be a fly on the wall and see how everything takes place at the play board, because I'm really passionate about it.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Brittany,
can help you with your donor outreach.
Brittany just typed herself a note.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Lee?
I just want to reiterate the importance of synergy in the community. With Paul Lesage coming today, I've been going to his class as a guest speaker 10 years before I retired, and I continue to go there. And it's so important. I see Anthony there, and I know many of your staff were students at one time. Departments tend to become very territorial, and I see that a lot in the community. Hancock College, they're very protective of their facilities. The high schools are, the country club. But we have a lot of facilities that we could share, and we need to work harder at and smarter at building relationships in a community to where we're all sharing with the growth and the power of play, so that everyone can participate. And then I mentioned the play board earlier. Just take advantage of the beautiful communities that we have, Lake Kachuma, Nahui Falls, etc. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. I just had a few things. I was able to go down to the Able Maldonado Center. You familiar with that? And I was talking to the youth there that are at the desk, and we're asking them some questions about how do we make the city job more attractive and stuff. And they had a bunch of good ideas, those how to attract their youth, And they came up with just a bunch of different plans and stuff like that. So I think if we interact with those youth that we have hired right now, and how to get more youth to apply for the jobs here for the city in Parks and Rec, I think that's where it's at, social media and stuff like that. Also, I went down to Day in the Park with the first one, I think it was at Robin Ventura. So we were there at Robin Ventura a couple of weeks ago with Mr. Councilman Escobedo. That was beautiful, at the Day in the Park, so. No, I was at Robin Ventura, it was a couple weeks ago.
Quistapachi for Dia de los Niños.
I don't know what it was. It was at the Robin Ventura Park. I thought it was Day in the Park.
Okay.
Anyway, that was very nice. I was there. Were you there? I wasn't dancing, though. Carlos was dancing. Huh? Anyway, that's it. Anybody else?
Commissioner Molina, before you sign off, concerts in the park, maybe? Was there a
Concerts
concert?
in the park. Yeah, there was a band.
Yes, thank you.
I saw you there, so I was figuring it was that one.
I saw you too. You're dancing over there, huh? Anyway,
So,
you put on, she was working really hard, like you said.
Yeah.
She was working really hard that day. She did a really good job. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
So just a couple of the comments to the comments. So Commissioner Lopez's comments about recognition, and actually yesterday at the city department director meeting, employee recognition was one of the major topics that we had, and how, you know, we usually have just about this time of year would be the employee barbecue, and we'd invite all the employees in, and commissioners would come and help serve, and we would do these things. The discussion was, what other alternatives are there out there to recognize the employees and get them involved? So they are working on some things, but internally, that's something that we can certainly look at, and how to recognize our employees. The offer of training, additional training, the offer of you know, rewards, you know, gift cards or whatever they are, those are all things that are within the realm of possibility. It's just a matter of working out what a program would look like. And then to Commissioner Lee's comments about our local area, there are a lot of local things that people don't think about, even within our own park system. You know, people don't think of, you know, going down to the river and, you know, taking a hike in the riverbed. Right now it's a little sparse because all the little bushes got knocked out because of the past storm. But a lot of that will come back, and if you go over to the cliffs and watch all the birds of prey that live in those cliffs across the river. I mean, there's just amazing stuff right here in your own backyard. The other comment that was made on the new app, maybe what we can do is schedule for the next meeting. We'll actually do a demo here so you can take a look at it. And the more people who you let know about it, the better it is for us. Keeps us off the telephones, keeps us off having to check email. Makes Scott work a lot harder because everything goes to him. But you know, we're experimenting with that as a city right now, and I think those are the kinds of things that will make our work more effective and more efficient. So we'll schedule that in our next meeting to have a demo done for you.
Thank you, Mr. Posadas. Commissioner Lee?
Just one comment about employee incentives. You got the CPRS, California Parks and Rec Society. One of the things I really enjoyed doing when I was working was, for the annual conference, we gave the students opportunity to go to the conference, and they could work it off, the amount that it costs. And what that does is, all of a sudden, they see, you know what? This is way beyond just our college. This is way beyond just California. It's national. And regardless of what profession you're in, everyone has a professional conference like that. For networking, for looking at advancement, what other job opportunities are available, career development. So something like that, I don't know if the department can set up a special fund or something like that, scholarship, but that would be awesome. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is our largest crowd since I've been here in 2 years. And we actually had a speaker tonight. So we're moving right along. Good. I'd like to thank Brittany here for all her hard work. Thank you. And with that, we adjourn.
Thank you.
Where'd my hammer go?